racing in NASCAR, and I was actually racing in Bristol, and this guy came up to me and said, hey, would you like to be a star driver at the X Games in Brazil? Rally Cross. Sure. And I said, yes. And then I went back tomorrow, and I looked up what it was, and I was like, oh my God, there's jumps. What in the world did I just sign up for? And I immediately actually called Travis. I was like, hey, what's the deal with these tabletop jumps? Are they difficult? He's like, no, man, they're not that hard, but like, you just don't get the brakes in the air, because then you'll nosedive and you'll front flip them when they're really bad. And I was like, oh, awesome. I feel great. And I ended up going to the X Games in Brazil, and I wanted a gold medal. Yeah! To this day, my 3 X Games gold medals are the only trophies I have in my house. Because I've never been, you know, into TV and all that stuff. You know, X Games gold medals are something I can never into X Games, so thank you for that. So I got some really cool little hardwares in the house. But that was my introduction to rallycross, and I did that for 4 years with Volkswagen, won a few championships, and at these races we were at, you know, the Subaru team just had such an amazing enthusiast group at their haulers. You know, they would finish, you know, off the podium, and they would have more people at their hauler after the race than we would. We were winning all the races, and I thought, well, what's going on here? And I thought, you know, well, I've had a great time with the folks at Andretti and Volkswagen, and I wanted to get a feel for what that enthusiasm was like and what this team had. And so I called Subaru and I said, hey guys, what do you think about partnering up and doing this? And the rest is history. It's been an amazing ride ever since.
We're really glad that you sort of looking good. What are these guys all about? We're really glad that you're on the team, man. Bucky, now you background in extreme sports, but what about Subarus? How did they kind of find their way into your garage?
First, Scott, you have 3 X Games gold medals.
Yeah, I know, it's not nearly as many as
That's it?
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
So they're like token medals for me.
That's awesome. Scott just handed me my own, you know what, down in the city. Yeah, that's no joke there. So I got started because that Travis Pastrami guy, he started doing NASCAR. He swapped out with you. He went and did NASCAR truck or something, and Subaru was like, hey, we need a driver. And my agent was like, hey, you drive. So I tested and got a seat. And
now there's so many Subies in your garage. Or were there other vehicles? You know, when did you first sort of find your way to the Subaru team?
Yeah, so I started co-driving way back in 2005, and my first race was with my brother Nathan in a Datsun 1600, which I think we call it something different now. I'm not sure if right, anyway. But then my brothers had two Subarus, so I used to use them. My first time working with Urban Sports Car and Subaru Motorsport USA was co-driving with Bucky Lasek.
Whoa!
Yeah, Bucky did a rally with me at the New England Forest Rally way back in 2016, and he was so pumped he's not even listening. That's how cool it was for him. And so, yeah, I started with the team then, and then Travis and I started working together in 2020. From, you know, when my brother and I were in Australian Championship, Asia Pacific, and then here in America. So lots of time at Subaru. You know, you did okay.
You didn't want to buy this, did Bucky and Scott, but can you tell us what number you race under and then why that number? Like what inspired your racing number?
Well, I've always kind of, if I had the option to pick, raced number 41.
Yeah.
Because when I was, you know, 10 years old and first drove a go-kart, that's the number my dad had. And my dad was a really great karter. So I wanted to be like Pop, so I just took over the 41, and every time I get the chance to pick, that's my choice.
What about you, Bucky? What do you go for?
It's my wife's birthday.
All right, those are a couple of really sweet stories. Now, Rhiannon, I guess as a co-driver, you don't necessarily pick numbers, but if you could, what number would you pick for your car?
In Australia, they don't let you pick your numbers, so that's always interesting. But my dad did speedway racing, and when he did speedway, he was always 88. And the running joke was it didn't matter if he was upside down or on his wheels, he was always 88. So I always thought that 88 was a good number, because even if I was on my roof, I still had my correct number. So I think I'd go with 88.
Now, let's talk about other drivers for a second. Is there a skill that other drivers demonstrate that you still are trying to mimic or pick up or sort of aim for? Any other drivers that just impress the pants off of you that you just say, now I can do that, I wish I could do that? Or are you just the absolute peak?
I mean, you have different styles
I was just gonna say, we're still over here.
Sends it sideways, 100 yards before that actual turn. And sometimes that's fast, but then you have Scott here, on the other hand, that will drive it in, nice and controlled, and he gets out fast. So I think it all comes down to...
Yeah, bro, Keith and I were in my car earlier getting a refill, and some guy was walking by, and I saw him in the rear car, and I stopped him like that, and he kept going,
It's sort of,
stopped again.
when I first kind of thought you, I was like, no, he's making that up. There's just like a pseudo, no, that's your family name.
Family name, super fortunate. My father was born with the last name Holzclaw, and my grandmother remarried when he was 3 years old and changed his last name to Speed. So good job, Grandma.
Oh, I'll say. Now, so when you get into motorsport, you were following how did they react when you got involved in motorsports? And you have kids now. How is that going to go as your kids grow up?
Yeah, well, I think, I did what my dad did, right? I was always around motor racing, and in a lot of ways, I really didn't have a choice. Like, it's what my dad did. He was great at it. I always looked up to him. We were always watching it on TV, and, I think from a very, very early age, from the first time I got in that car, like, it was such a big part of my identity. It was really important for me, for my girls, that they, for one, didn't have to grow up, being compared to me. If my girls are in motor racing, they're naturally always going to be compared to me, and that's a very difficult thing for any child that's doing the same sport as their parent, if their parent had done that at a professional level. So it was really important for me, for them to be able to explore and find something that they're passionate about. And so, like at my house, like I said, I don't have anything really in my house that is racing related. And I tried to be as diverse as possible. And both of my kids, as it turns out, got into soccer at a young age. So I really love that. They're both on really competitive national teams, and I don't know much about soccer, which is even great because I don't need to pretend to coach them. I can be there to just kind of support them and help them grow in their passion. And that's been a really fun journey for me to learn a new sport, and for my kids to have a place that's totally theirs and not compared to me.
It's a great attitude to have, and that's really cool to let them kind of explore and find their way. Bucky, you've got a lot going on. I follow you on Instagram, YouTube, all that. You've got a lot of irons and a lot of fires. You're doing a lot of this work yourself now. Is there any skill that you wish you had that or like someone you're looking for that can maybe do something for you that you can't quite pull off?
Well, I'm working on an XT6 right now. If you guys follow my YouTube channel, I actually got to edit that video. So, I'm working on an XT6, and I'm actually in need of some help. Maybe somebody out here can help me. Do any of you guys know a fiberglass tech? Someone who works with fiberglass that can lay up some molds? Because I have a guy who has some XT. Someone to help me lay those up. So I just need someone who works with fiberglass. So if you know anyone, come and see me after this interview.
Oh, fun. Okay, good deal. So, hey, fiberglass techs, go chat with Bucky. Now, Rhiannon, you both have built huge names for yourselves. How did you first kind of get involved in rally way back in the day? And then, what's the first thing you said?
I was quite lucky. My dad was a rally driver and my two brothers are rally drivers. So I was a PE teacher, I was teaching sport, I was more than happy teaching sport to kids, I loved it. And my dad came up with this great idea that I was a perfect size for a co-driver. So we have in Australia, my family has land, and we have a nursery, so Dad built this So we have a 2-kilometer rally stage, or we have a 6-kilometer rally stage, and we all had rally cars. And so Dad throws me in his car and sees if I scream and if I'm scared and do I get sick, and I didn't. So he's like, okay, you're going to start co-driving for your brother. So I really didn't have a choice, but I'm really thankful for it now because it's been my full-time job since 2010 when I decided that, hey, I'm okay at this job and I can do it full-time. I've traveled and raced in 20 different countries. I've traveled the world rallying all over the world. My favorite place to rally. I never get to watch a rally in New Zealand. The roads are the most amazing roads you could ever imagine. Finland is also epic. If you follow the World Rally Championship, they've just finished Finland. I've done Finland twice, and the jumps, the camera on the road, the spectators, it's like nothing you'd ever believe. Like Finland is the place to go if you ever want to go spectator to a World Rally or something like that. And then obviously, I was over here racing. Alex and I met, we were both doing the World Championship. He was doing it with Ken and I was doing it with my brother Brendan. And Alex is like, oh, she's cute, maybe I'll ask her on a date. So he actually asked my brother, like I was 30 years old, he asked my brother if he could ask me on a date. And my brother's like, I don't know. And so my brother, who was like 22, he's like, hey, that Alex Gelsomino guy wants to ask you on a date. I'm like, I'm here doing a rally, I can't go on a date. Anyway, we got to the end of Finland and we went on a date, and the rest is history. Alex and I have been married for 11 years. We compete against each other all the time. The last rally, I was first